Well, hello, everyone. This is the Lottie and Connie podcast on real estate-related matters. And today, I'm very happy to have as our guest panelist, so to speak, Chris Constant, who is the current chair of the Anchorage Assembly. Chris, how long have you been with the Anchorage Assembly?
Since 2017.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was that long. So you can have you term out after three.
Yeah. 3-year terms, yep.
All right.
In fact, I think I had just started at the Dwell brokerage in about December of 2016. So our connection has gone on since basically the same time. About 10 years.
And you and I worked together back when you were Fairview Community Council President.
Yep.
Which that's a long time. I hope we're having fun because time's passing.
TikTok.
Yeah. So one question that I want to ask, and I think our readers would be very interested in, which is the relationship, if you can define the relationship between the assembly and the municipality, the administration.
And the mayor.
And
yeah, absolutely. That's a pretty straightforward question. And, even a lot of the members don't really get it right. And for sure, candidates in the public, it's hard for people to grasp. So if you look at the federal government, we have three branches of government: the courts, the Congress, and the administration, the president. And essentially, we're the same here. We have two branches of government, and the state court is the third branch here. And the mayor's role is to execute the laws faithfully and implement the administration of government. And our charter talks about the office of the mayor, not just the mayor, because the mayor is a very complex kind of engagement or endeavor. So there is the figurehead of the mayor, but there's the office of the mayor who executes the will of the assembly, the budget that the assembly has passed, and kind of the day-to-day operations. So then you have the legislative branch, the assembly. And the duties of the assembly are manifold. There are many. We have duties to engage with our constituencies. We represent a geographic area. We have 6 districts in the municipality with 12 members. And also we have regional duties, like citywide duties. So we are a joint or unified government where a lot of places have a city council and a county board of supervisors or an assembly. We have duties like San Francisco does, where they're both in one body. And so our duties are to pass a budget, steward elections, manage confirmations, ensure compliance to the budget, and do our constituent relations. And so we work on the broad questions of what we want to fund, how we want it to operate, and the administration does the work on how to staff those priorities, how to achieve what the assembly establishes in the budget.
But doesn't the office of the mayor often initiate resolutions and changes?
Absolutely. So our charter is very interesting. Like any government will have the opportunity for its mayor, depending if it's a strong mayor, weak mayor, there's different structures that can be utilized. The manager does that rather than the mayor. But in almost every case, the budget is always initiated by the administration, the executive. They send it over to us and say, this is what we'd like to do. Do you approve? And then we actually take it in, look at it line by line, look at our broader priorities, and then make any adjustments to it that we feel necessary in order to achieve the outcomes that we try to establish as our policies. So then once we approve it, it's handed back to the mayor. So yes, the work can and often does. And how our charter is unique, it actually creates the mayor as a member of the assembly in all ways, except
I didn't
accept that the mayor cannot vote and that the mayor has the veto power. And so the mayor can make a motion, introduce a resolution. The mayor can debate, can do all of the things except can't vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's unique and it's good when a mayor uses it.
So how does the school board and AWWU, which sort of function with their own budgets and activities, how does that interface with the municipality?
So I think those are two very different things. So let's take them on separately, because you have the school board and the school district, which is one thing. Then you brought up AWWU, but we also have, we call those enterprises and utilities. We have more than that. We have AWWU. We have actually a small electric utility still. We have the port, which operates as an enterprise. We also have Merrill Field and other entities that work in the same way. But the school district is very much a unique entity in our charter. And so the school district is essentially an independent entity that is created as a subsidiary of the municipality, a subsidiary of the state. The way that the charter has established the school district, the assembly does not have the authority to line item direct expenditures in the school district. So the charter provides that the school board sets the budget and the proceedings that come from the policies that come from the school district of their own power, of their own authority. And then our role in relationship to the school district is that we can either approve as drafted, increase or decrease their budget. But we cannot say, I'll spend $50,000 less and don't buy that car. Right? We cannot say that. We can only say, look, we don't agree with what you're doing. We're reducing it, or we need to increase it, or we accept your proposal. I don't want to get too deep into specifics, but one of the bigger challenges right now is the school district has its own snow management system.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. They have their own whole snow plows and teams and everyone who goes out and manages it. And then we have at the municipality our own maintenance and operation system. And then we have the state that operates within our city. And so we have a very layered and challenged, uncoordinated process. Now, the city has been working really hard with the school district, and, our processes are very thoroughly developed. They're reasoned. They have checks on them so that there are times and points in time where decisions are made, closures being the example. Today's school is closed. Mm-hmm. And so the muni doesn't really have strong insight into the decision-making processes of the school district on how they're going to close or not a school. And so then you have disconnection in the plowing and the management. So those are not the great parts, but the good part is that we do have an independent school district that is able to make decisions that, for the most part, avoid the political process. Schools have become so politicized across the country that they're political footballs. And in the way that ours is established, it's very protected. They have to deal with their own political ramifications, but it isn't directly connected to ours.
Okay.
Except we approve their budget.
Okay. And AWWU is like the port, is like Merrill Field. They're their own enterprises.
So the AWWU is a utility.
Yeah.
The others are enterprises.
Oh.
And also solid waste service. And so AWWU and solid waste services are like very similar to each other in the way that they're organized and structured. Yes, they are owned by the municipality and they are operated as independent entities, as utilities. And there's another interesting part of the charter that provides that the assembly actually is in charge of the utilities. There is a line in the charter that creates that the assembly,
like you offer your tax or the assessment,
with the budget and the assessments and all of that. And so, but it is still managed by the administration. Right. But it's that one of those interesting areas where it wouldn't be how you would think it is. It's that the assembly is in charge. But the assembly has, by ordinance, delegated operational decisions to the administration, the office of the mayor, and the utilities and enterprises. We could recall that by ordinance, or we ultimately have the responsibility. So AWWU has its own, it doesn't have a direct board that is in charge of its decision-making processes. It has in the past. So, but it does have a commission that provides input and oversight. And then solid waste services is the same. There is a solid waste commission that exists, and then they're operated basically independently. And what that means is there are, to the greatest extent possible and almost universally, no taxpayer dollars supporting the enterprises or the utilities. They are self-funded. They have revenue. The revenue pays for the operation. Then AWWU is regulated through the RCA. Solid waste services is not. And so
but solid waste services has exclusivity on different areas. Parts of the city, you can't take refuse service from anyone but.
Right.
Yeah.
In the North Anchorage, in the old historic districts, it continues to be. So that actually, to get a little
curious to me,
a little more in depth, the solid waste service utility, like AWWU, has multiple layers to it. So the solid waste service utility is actually two utilities. So it is a refuse utility, which is the landfills.
Yeah, landfill.
And then you have the collection utility, which is picking up waste from homes. And so the refuse utility is paid for by all users. The collection utility is all people in the municipality, really. Anyone who dumps trash in any way pays for the refuse utility. The collection utility, though, is paid for only by those who have collection services. And to your point, Lottie, yes, there's the North Anchorage area that has a mandate that only solid waste service operates there. And I don't know how many it is, but it's north of Tudor. It's downtown and old historic neighborhood, spreads a little bit towards Turpin up East Anchorage.
You have 12 seats up for assembly, right?
Yep.
And you probably have, you have 6 seats and you have multiple candidates, right?
Well, let me talk briefly about the structure. So the way that our government is structured from the elected level, you have the mayor's office, which is elected once every 3 years. Then you have half the assembly, which is elected the next year, 6 members. And then the next year, half of the assembly. And then it goes back to the mayor. So we're in a 3-year cycle where one of every third year, every one of those seats will be up for election. And so in any given year, you have 6 assembly seats. Once we passed the charter amendment in 2020 that added the 12th member, we used to have that weird single member district downtown.
Exactly.
Which NOTA was good. Yeah, that is one of my signature accomplishments.
All right. I was going to ask you, what was your signature accomplishment?
That's one of them. And I joke about this. Like, I've been a hard worker. People who don't like me think I'm a hard worker. They don't like it. People who like me think I'm a hard worker because I get the job done. And
what was the other one? I have to interrupt you. What was the other signature?
Working with the native village of and establish government to government relations, recognition of all the tribes in which we beat the state by a year. And I think we forced the state to act, and it creates a better relationship with the largest landowner, with the first people. And in Alaska, we have 229 of, what is it? No
Tribes.
Yes, 279 of 575 tribes in the country. Nearly half of all tribes recognized by the federal government in the United States exist in Alaska. This is native land. And so it's unusual in comparison to other places. Some states have 4 or 8 tribes. California has probably 50. We have 229, which is really amazing. And that's a whole other conversation.
That's your second large accomplishment.
Yeah, we have the structure. We have the 3 elections. You have the mayor, 6 assembly members, 6 assembly members. And this year, there are 2 seats in which there is no incumbent, and then 3 seats in which there is no incumbent, and then 3 contested seats. And we're in the election now.
Yes. Yeah. So that makes it hard for private citizens to, wrap their opportunities around an assembly that is constantly changing.
Yeah, it's tricky. So those 3-year terms confound some folks. The problem is, if you were to change it, try to make the mayor a 4-year term, you would have 2-year assembly terms, and it would be problematic, right? It would be worse in some ways. And so we haven't figured out a way to do it better. And I don't think we would want the assembly subject to wholesale change. One of the beauties of having 2 assembly members per district and a different time schedule for their elections is that there's always somebody who's there keeping the light on at the lighthouse. When there's an issue, somebody knows who to call, right? And the real disability, the terrible condition that happened for the North District for downtown forever was that every 3, 6, or 9 years, the slate was wiped clean and your person had no contacts within the municipality. And it took them a year or more to figure out who to talk to, when to talk to them about what, when you get the call from a constituent in need of aid. And so this is what I was going to say, hardworking as I am, I set it up so I'm replacing myself with 2 people. So when I leave, it won't just be 1, it'll be 2. And the full promise of that charter amendment comes to bear this April, because for the first time, when the transition happens and the senior representative of the district is gone, you'll have someone who spent 4 years, 5 years almost, building relationships.
And that seat's not up.
No.
Okay.
It won't be up for 2 years. And so what that means is our neighbors are taken care of in the north by someone who knows who to call when things aren't going right.
And that's true for every district.
They always had it. The North Anchorage district did it.
Yeah. The North only had 1.
And so this is the first transition that will occur where we will not lose the whole benefit of the experience of the knowing who to call. Pretty excited about that.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah,
excited about that. Very proud of it. Yeah. Lottie, what do you have? Questions? No, I'm good right now. Yeah.
That's a whole bunch of things. Like, we haven't talked about the land use stuff, and the assembly's focus on that.
We're not going to talk about that.
No. Oh my God, that's like the best topic. All I got to say is we have worked really hard over the last 7 years to eliminate burdens, to reduce bureaucracy, to streamline, the process to reduce costs. And it's not perfect. We're not there yet, right? But the fact is, if you look at the math of the ordinances passed, the work that's been done, it is undeniable that we have created the municipality as more housing development friendly than we have been, at least since I've been in Alaska, which was 1995 or 97. And so there has been a concerted effort, and there continues to be. And, some folks in the development community want to just ignore it because partisanship. But the simple reality is the work is being done. The work will never be done because there's always the push and the pull, and crisis comes. Land gets smaller opportunities. We have to be more creative. But all of those things under the current condition, there is almost unanimity of cause to help tackle this housing crisis that we're facing. And so I just want to say that because it's a part of the important work that we've been doing.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So you didn't ask.
I did not ask. Right.
So, yeah, I'm not talking about anything specific, but I think it would be nice if the public could catch up. Public perception is a lagging indicator, right? It's a lagging. They don't understand things have already gotten better or they've gotten worse until it's long after the change has occurred. And I think things have actually gotten better, and there's more work to do. And there are a lot of very passionate people on the question, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Well, there certainly is a lot of public discussion. Absolutely. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Meetings will be televised until morale improves, right? Public meetings.
Well, do you have any advice for candidates that are going to be running?
Yeah, I think that
That's a good question.
I've been asked this a lot. Recently, I'm doing some training with folks. The first difficult question, not the why. Why am I running? That's fine. Everyone can have the reason. Everyone who's a citizen has the right to do it as long as they lived in the district a year. And so that part notwithstanding, there is some reality about a winnable seat. For me, I wanted to run. I started playing around politics in 2008, but I had no clue, no path. But I started working in my neighborhood. I started building a case, and I started studying the opportunities that were available and positioning myself to be ready when the one that made most sense was available. And so it's okay to just run, to get your name out there and have some fun and experience what it's like. But I would never do that again. I would only do it if I could do the basic arithmetic that suggested there was a path to victory. And so think long and hard about that. What is the right seat? Why am I doing this? And is it possible? Because what you can do in the interim is get training, connect with the communities of interest, and
serve on committees.
Serve on commissions, the Budget Advisory Commission, the Planning and Zoning Commission. These are the commissions that lead people into elected office, serving your local community council for a few years. So you're not just coming to them asking for their buy-in, but instead you're showing up to solve the problems, and people can weigh a color in the gold pan that you're bringing. And so I think that really there is a lot to be said about doing the work. I actually said this at an event last night. I had a number of people ask me to support their campaigns, to support them as candidates, and in particular for my seat. And I told them all the same thing. If you want to be on this Sunday, have one job you have to do before I consider supporting. And this one job is, in our district now, it's so much larger. We have 11 community councils.
Oh,
go to every one of them.
That's painful.
Listen to what the people are talking about and hear them. And then come back and let's talk. Because if you can't imagine yourself having that discussion at the grocery store for the next 3, 6, or 9 years, this job's probably not for you, right? Go out there and apply yourself. And what was interesting, in my race, only one person did that, and still is sticking to their guns. And so I appreciate that. The message that I had last night at an event was simple. I don't want you to tell me what you are going to do. I want you to be able to say, this is what I have been doing, and I want to do more of it in your representative position.
I like that.
Show me what you're doing. Don't tell me what you're going to do, because promises are cheap. How you do anything is how you do everything. Show me the work you've been doing. That's the conversation I want to have with potential candidates. And so for me, that's a baseline level before I'm going to jump in and throw my time, my reputation, my treasure into supporting someone. And I don't mean it's an April election, so in December I better start showing up at the community council.
Because it has to have been there.
That's super transparent to anybody who's been coming. Me, you're here for what?
Yeah.
You just want to take from us, and that, or the self-serving argument of, I want to do this because I want to be in politics. Show me how you're helping our community, because that's the benchmark for me.
That's what it should be.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, do you have any final remarks as you're leaving office?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Everyone's asking what's next.
That's what I asked her.
Yeah, and I'm going to stay open to the possibilities and kind of weigh and evaluate what's coming. But I think that I have long had a love of this work, the work of real estate and helping people get in homes. And I think
is life-changing.
People to be able to access home ownership is for sure part of the future. Some baby on another day, but
in one other form.
Yeah.
A variety of forms, right?
Yeah, it can happen in all number of ways. And so it's got to be part of the story, because it's the crisis of our day. It's the opportunity of the day. It is the place where the magic can happen. Here's how I frame it. We might have talked about this before. I see that our future is good and strong. And as we become more self-reliant and willing to pay for our own responsibilities, our city becomes better. And then infusions of cash, the projects, booms can be supportive, as opposed to the thing that just sustains us until the next one that falls apart. The simple kind of metaphor that I see, and this is a housing metaphor, is that Anchorage as a city is 100 years old, municipalities 50 years old.
Okay.
When you think of the lifespan of a city, right? Great cities last centuries.
Yes, we're a baby.
We're a teenager. We're a teenager city. And in fact, we're at that point in our development as a city where we are leaving our nest of our parents' home, the state who's funded us, and we are having to stand on our own in our own little house. And you all know what that first house was like.
Right.
It was a mess. Didn't work really well. It wasn't orderly. Things break. There's a sense of aspiration and decay at the same time, right? And so we are that city who's a teenager moving out of his home or her home, and we will soon find a ground in which we strike out and have our own vocation, if you will, as a city that strengthens us and makes us available, strong, better to live on our own.
And with that, I want to thank you. That is an excellent vision, right, for the city. And I want to thank you for the years that you've spent helping. Thank you for the 9 years. Yeah. And before.
It's amazing time.
Because what you did in Fairview it was pretty impressive as well.
One last note, the state Highway Safety Improvement Program prioritizes money for undergrounding and fixing beyond the street. And it's so finally they're going to remove the light poles that are in the middle of the sidewalk that cause people in wheelchairs to roll up a federal highway. But they're finally going to do it. And I think boring is going to start this spring and MLM people underground, hopefully this summer. And you will finally see a transformed corridor, which is what got me elected.
What's the scope of work for that?
We don't know yet. Well, it's from like 4th Avenue to 16th Avenue.
Okay.
So it'll be all of that.
It's a big project.
Yeah, it's a really big project, but the real project is much bigger. But I was surprised that they added that back in. I had signed off, so I had given up. It was never going to happen. And anyhow, so even after the last, it can surprise you. Something good can come.
All right. Thank you, Russ. Good luck. And good luck in the future.